Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, this one's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to introduce to you Deece Casillas. He's an internationally touring comedian known for his sharp wit and engaging performances. Deece has entertained audiences across America, Mexico, and beyond. As the host of The Social Hour, Deece combines his comedic talents with insightful conversations. He's recorded 2 comedy albums and recently filmed a special titled Not Your Cup of Tea, which I love that. With a unique comedic style that blends big city energy with small town charm, Deece has been recognized as one of the top comics in the Northwest for 4 consecutive years. In addition to his stand-up career, he's also an author with an upcoming comic book called Kill Stan. Hey Stan, we're talking about you, man. His ability to connect with audience through humor makes him a standout performer. Get ready for a fun and inspiring conversation with a comedian who's making waves in the comedy scene and on his homestead. Deece, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. So excited to have you here.
Hey, Sue, thanks for having me. And I want to say thank you for pronouncing it Casillas, because I need to distance myself from anything Latino in today's America. So it is Casillas. It was Casillasburg, actually, when we came over on Ellis Island, and then we dropped it. Definitely European, not Latino.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I am papered. I mean, not that I would need to be. I'm legal, right? So. You're
definitely not located at your address.
Right. So yes, it is. Sorry, it's common. It is Casillas. I am just a good old-fashioned beaner. So I gotta hide from. I live very close to the border, so I gotta stay on my toes. Here in San Antonio, just a hop skipping away from getting thrown back over that Rio any day now.
We won't let that happen.
Yeah, I hope not. Fingers crossed. So trying to blend in. I recently took up skiing to try and blend in with the white people. Yeah. I'm gonna learn all the cool white stuff. Skiing. I'm gonna come down the mountain. Say some cool shit, white shit at the end, like "Schmighty ducks" or whatever you guys say. I don't know.
You got to sip your pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah. I got my pumpkin spice latte. I'm listening to some Coldplay. I'm like, let's go, bro. Tanner, let's go. Chet, Tanner, roll out, boys. So.
Oh my, man. Well, right out there.
I'm just letting America know I'm one of the good ones.
That's okay. Right. One of the good. Oh man. All right, this is going to be fun. All right, so other than cracking people up, I love so I just want to make a public service announcement. I think comedians, you're doing Lord's work. This is, life can be very heavy, very dark, very, and having a dark sense of humor or any sense of humor, man, it helps the burdens get lighter. People are just. Man, life can be hard. And if we can't laugh, we're really stuck.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Yeah, lighten up and have a good time and go out there and have some laughs.
Yeah.
We need it now more than ever.
For sure. All right, so tell us a little bit about yes, there's the audiences, like the literal audiences you're serving. But just even in general, who are you serving and what problem are you helping to solve in the world?
Well, as far as comedy, I would say that, it's kind of we just touched on. I think it's important for people to be able to come together and laugh together with strangers and with people and just kind of enjoy that fellowship with other people. That's such an important thing that we've lost in today's day and age of disconnect with the internet and online and social media and how disconnected we are from other people. So yeah, being able to come together in reality, and also like like you said, I mean, not that this is everything I do, but dark humor or controversial stuff and pushing people and getting people to out of their comfort zone, and you know, like differences, you know, being able to laugh about differences and the, you know, different things we're not, things we are, and like everyone just being good and having fun together, I think is so important. So, you know, that as far as comedy, the comic book that I'm doing, Kill Stan, is a little different. That the vehicle for that is actually much deeper, probably. That book is actually about, like, on the surface, it's kind of a neo-noir thriller, but really the story that you're going to find yourself thrust into is a story about loss, trauma, and the crazy things we do, and we feel like we have nothing left to live for. Yeah, really, I wrote a character piece and I cleverly hid it in a vigilante story comic book, and people are reading it and they're going to, you know, they're going to halfway through realize that they're, oh, I am not in a vigilante story at all. I am in a story of mental illness and, you know, life trauma.
Yeah.
So, which, and again, which I think is important too. People spend most of their lives hiding from those things and not taking the time to, I guess for lack of a better say, master them, where instead of they just hide them, mask it, ignore it, and push it away, instead of finding a way to grapple with it, come to terms with it, and use it as a way to propel yourself.
I mean, that's fascinating. So I know, like with comedy too, like I think it was, I can't remember, it might have been Seinfeld. I don't remember who it was, but they were saying, you know, like the center of all comedy is really pain. You know, like we go through things when we could find that humorous, and, you know, like it's bizarre that it should, you know, end up with something that's funny, but it does. It's like these shared experience, human experiences that we have. But it also can be, you know, like a lot of people will use comedy to kind of mask their feel, like, aha, you know, just laughing it off, or rather than addressing what's actually going on. So I'm even more fascinated that it's like an inception, you know, like you got this, like, there's layers under here. Like, how did this happen? What are you doing, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, I am a big proponent of diving into the darkest depths, swimming around in it, getting comfortable with it, and then coming out stronger in the end. That is, I published a book back in 2011, kind of a psychological thriller fiction novel called Insomniac, and really that's the main theme of the book, is that about kind of, you have to choose to face your darkness, and you have to choose to battle it, but once you battle it, life can forever be better if you can conquer it, and you just have to make those choices and make that really, really scary leap, but once you do, things are infinitely better for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man, I mean, that's heroic stuff for people to do, because it impacts, you know, it's like some of this stuff came, you know, we grew up with it, our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, you know, we don't even know sometimes where some of this stuff originated, and then we're perpetuating it on and on and on with our kids, grandkids, neighbors, you know, business, all this kind of stuff. So I think being able to take that courageous step to really look, that's huge. And here you are, you're like diving headfirst into this murky pool full of sharks and weird stuff in there, you know, like, and coming out with something that can help people. How did this happen? Like, what's your journey been like?
I mean, that's a good question. How it happened is, you know, a good question. I will say, first of all, before I dive into that, you know, you say heroic. I don't know if heroic's the word. I almost think it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
I think we're remiss not to, and I think we do ourselves and everyone around us a disservice if we don't. It's scarier to me to not try to live my life to the fullest than it is to have to face the things that can keep me back. Yes. That's much scarier. To you know, get to my last days and think, oh man, how much did I leave on the table because I wasn't courageous enough to take that step or to dig a little deeper. Um, how I got there, I'm not sure I know how exactly. That's which it. Well, I guess I don't know how to say where to start. I mean, I had a pretty, kind of a crazy childhood. Grew up in South Central LA during the 80s.
Oh
So
boy.
if anyone knows that area, kind of height of gang violence and crack epidemic, police violence, and it was, but it was normal to me. Like I didn't view it as anything more than just day-to-day life because you don't know anything else, right?
Yeah.
Um, and saw a lot, I experienced a lot very early on, and just kind of, I think, self-reliance and kind of resilience
Hmm.
uh, built up, sometimes to a fault, probably, but also made me very capable of overcoming anything and also not scared to uh, tackle anything, not scared of anything coming my
It
way.
sounds pretty Gen X, Deece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, um, maybe it was certainly a unique upbringing, and you eventually I decided I wanted to change my patterns in life, what was happening around me. I wanted to change what the negative aspects that kept happening, and I kind of, that's when I took responsibility and said the only way this is going to change is if I change. And I moved to a different area. I completely altered what I did. I completely altered what I read, what I listened to, I wanted to consume different things, and it really um, I think the big shift for me was I really started reading a lot about Taoism, and also the tenets of the Bushido, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the Bushido is like the code of the samurai,
Mhm.
and it's a very simple 9 tenets that they live by that is very simple, very stripped down. But I think when you apply them to modern day life, it can make a lot of sense. And it's very pragmatic. And I like that. And it really changed the way I looked at things and approached life in general.
Man. All right. Have you ever played a thing called the Samurai game?
I don't think so.
Oh, dude, you got to look it up. All right. There are very few people who are like licensed, sort of like allowed to run this, but it's for a big group of people. Like if you had 50 people, this would be a fantastic thing. But it's all based on Bushido, which is really, really cool. So
Okay.
like look it up, like it's amazing.
Yeah,
There's a
fine.
guy,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a guy like Patrick. Oh crap. I'm gonna have to look up his name, but yeah, if you ever want it, like this, it is amazing. Like I played it once back in 2007, and I still remember. Like that's
Interesting.
crazy, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
all right, so to make that big shift, like usually, like did you have somebody mentoring you? Like how, you're a young guy at that time. You're like all of a sudden like, oh, I'm gonna, nothing's gonna change until I change. Like, how did that? Like, people don't usually lead themselves out of like into a transformation like that. But
When I say I was like very much self-sufficient at a young age, I mean that. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 15 years old, dropped out of school in the middle of eighth grade, and was on my own after that.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you're talking about a kid who's not even 16, being self-sufficient, finding ways to make money,
Yeah,
finding ways to find a place to live and make that happen. So you really learn how to back against the wall, make things happen. And again, the way I grew up and the things that were happening around me, I mean, can't tell you how young I was the first time I watched one of my friends killed. I mean,
mm,
like things like, you just see things, and these things it just becomes your reality, and you're very resilient. So
yeah,
when you face those things so often at a young age, not that I wish it on anyone, you can really kind of be like, making a small change in life is not that scary. Uh,
yeah.
and so, it was I just decided I was doing music at the time, hip hop music, and living in Long Beach, California. And the culture of hip hop down there is very much tied to gang life. And we were at an event, we were at a party, and one of the guys in our crew, there was a shooting, one of them was killed, and I'm just like, this has happened way too many times in my life. It's come way too close to me way too many times, and it's never going to change if I don't change. So I just made the choice. I gave up music, walked away, moved, gave up the people I was connected to, and essentially started a new life.
That's amazing. It's like, a lot of people kind of reach a point where they wake up, right? And you had that very early on. Like, it had to have been incredible to see, the people around you still kind of like going about what they were doing, and you've had this awakening, like, wait a second, no, I want a different life from this. I want to create, I realize I got to create this if I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's got to have been an incredible journey for you.
Yeah, I mean, it really, the thing is, like, I get to do what I love for a living now. I always wanted to be a writer, right? Ever since like pen to paper, I wanted to be a writer, and I liked comedy and I liked comic books, but I wanted to write. And, I've been fortunate enough to make comedy a living, comic books now. I've written books, I've written for TV, film, sketch, all sorts of stuff. So I get to do what I love. And I always knew that was my path. It was just, me putting the time in to cultivate that and curate what I wanted to do. The times I wasn't putting work in, shocking, it wasn't, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
But the times I would, buckle down and actually dedicate and put the time and effort in and sacrifice a little, it started to get traction. So, like I said earlier, really the scariest thing to me is getting to the end of my days and knowing that I left so much on the table. That's the last thing I want to do. I have so much I want to put out there for people, and I realize it takes time and effort and sacrifice, because I think people's biggest problem is, everything looks scary when you look at it big. Everything looks impossible, or time seems so daunting, but it really, I mean, think back of like 4 years ago, right? It was kind of what not even what you were doing, but even 4 years ago, it doesn't seem like that long ago, right? That was your year into COVID or whatever. Like, that's not that long ago. You could have had a college degree in that time. Like, it takes 4 years or less if you're doing like some night courses or condensed college classes that they do now. I mean, you can change your life, and I'm not saying that's what everyone needs to do. I don't even have a high school diploma, but you can do a lot of things. It just takes a little bit of time and a little dedication and a little effort and a little sacrifice. You may not get to go watch every football game. You may not get to go do every, but you then in a couple years, and from that point on till you die, you're probably gonna have a much better life, or you can kind of ride out this low grade depression for the rest of your life.
Yeah, whichever one, whichever one works for you, right?
Yeah, you can't make people do it, because it's like dealing with addicts. You can't make an addict change. They have to decide. Doesn't matter how many times you dry them out, get them sober, take them to rehab, until they decide to make a change, they're not going to. And so until someone takes personal responsibility of their life and takes the reins, it'll never take.
Yeah, for sure. And you're completely right. I mean, the time passes one way or the other. I know, like, when we were talking to people, like, I was 56 when we moved here to the homestead, 57 now. And it's like, this is not normal, Deece.
But what's normal? Come on, normal is whatever you want now, right?
Exactly. But also looking at it, it's like, this is, like, okay, it's going to take a few years to get this thing up and going. This is like kind of crazy at 57, but what else am I going to do? Like, if you, at that point, like, you got to go for your dream. You got to go for the thing that you feel like, I need to do this, because like you said, at the end, otherwise you get to there and you're like, oh, maybe I should have tried,
Right. Yeah.
So, and you've built like your whole life around this. Like, I don't know how many people out there, want to have a life as a comedian, as a writer, as a, any of these things that you've done. But, they could do it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always tell like comedy is a really great model for this, because in comedy, you start doing comedy and you start going to open mics somewhere and doing your little 2-3 minutes of crap jokes, right? That's your start, and you do that for a while, and then maybe you get booked on a local bar show and you make they pay you in a couple beers and a hot dog, right? And you do that for a while, and then maybe if you're lucky enough you start getting hosting gigs at a club somewhere. That's even worse money. It's like it's all about sacrifice and future investment. Like I used to there's a time when I was starting out, and I used to, when I still had a job, and I would work, I'd get off my job Friday night. I'd leave a little early, like an hour early, I'd leave, and I'd drive 3.5 hours to this comedy club. I would host 2 shows. That means you do 5 minutes at the top of the show. That's it. And do 2 shows that night, drive back because they don't give you a hotel. And I would go to sleep for a couple hours, have to wake up because it'd be like, you leave the club at midnight, get home at like 3:30, 4 o'clock by the time you get to bed, have to be up to get to work again at like, then work all day, then leave again, drive back, do 2 more shows, drive back because again, they don't give you a hotel. And I would get paid like $60 for that weekend, right? And which seems crazy. You just spent 14 hours on the road over 2 days, got 4 hours of sleep, and did 20 minutes worth of comedy combined. You got paid $60. Like, or what are you, stupid? But like, honestly, I should have been paying that club to let me get stage, because like the stage time was invaluable, the experience was invaluable, the networking, the people I met was invaluable. And now that's a club that like once a year I headline, right? So that's what it is. And it's years of like front loading your time and effort and believing in yourself and betting on yourself to make a better life.
I mean, there's so many parallels to just like an entrepreneur, like there's so much this, and since you're a homesteader too. So like the planting the seeds, the gardening, the weeding, the tending, the watering, all this kind of the pruning, all this kind of stuff, because eventually it pays, eventually there's fruit that comes from this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I got to ask you about this. So I always say that one of the biggest jobs for an entrepreneur, like one of the most important things for a creator, for an entrepreneur, is to be able to communicate like their vision for something, right? So like you've seen something like with your new book, right? You saw this thing, it existed in your imagination. Now it exists in the world. It's coming out on Kickstarter. We're totally going to plug that before before this thing goes live, because it'll be too late then. But it existed in here, and you used your voice, both from writing and from speaking, for it to come out. And I feel like for an entrepreneur, like they're creating, here's what I say is they've taken ownership of a problem they didn't cause. Now they've devoted themselves to creating a solution of some kind. Now they got to go and talk about it. And that's where I think so many people get hung up, is that they don't have a voice for it. Like they don't know how to speak. They're afraid, oh, what if they all reject me? But all the training grounds you've gone through, I guarantee you've probably never had a show where nobody laughed, but maybe, right? You've never had a bomb of a joke.
I've had bad shows. There are times, but I've never had nothing, but man, there's been some rough ones.
There's got to be times where you're like, oh, that did not land. That sense of it, you're really in a crucible when you're on stage, because it's like you're pouring your stuff out. You've had these thoughts, you've written your set, you've got, and now you're communicating it, and you're completely just out there, like, metaphorically naked, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then, and people can, like they're either going to love it, they're going to hate it. There's going to be something in between there, but you have to have this there's got to be some fortitude in you where you're able to share, what was on your heart to share at that point, and knowing full well this could go horribly wrong. Like, how has that been, like that journey of finding your voice, using your voice, and doing it in a way that like you can live to tell another day, even if you have one that goes, doesn't go quite right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a couple answers to that. The first part is I'm pretty lucky that well, luck or not, I don't know if this is lucky. Depends on who you ask. I'm pretty like I have like um a very low like resting pulse, like my resting pulse is usually about 50. Okay. I used to be a fighter. I boxed, I did MMA, kickboxing and stuff. And like things, I've done like some race car drives, like things that amp people up, I bring me down. Like
Nice.
I will tamp me down. So like when you talk about like fighting, but in a boxing ring, or in an octagon, people talk about how things slow down for them. That's when fighters would tell me that when I was training fighters, I'm like, you're going to be a great fighter. I like, because you have the ability to take that pressure situation and go like this and bring it down and breathe and focus. You're not scatterbrained. You're not thinking. You're not thinking. You're not overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like stage time, getting on stage doing comedy, I really like, people used to ask me like, are you excited? You're nervous. I'm like, no, like, are you excited? I'm like, no, I'm not excited. And they're like, what, anything? And this is more a joke than anything, but I used to be like, this is just what I have to do before I get to go home, yeah. And which is kind of true, but also like, I mean, I love it. It's so exciting and fun, especially when it goes like it's supposed to. And sometimes when it goes like it's not supposed to, that's not always a bad thing. It can go unexpected and still be a lot of good and fun. But I think the big thing is, and this goes back to maybe resiliency and stuff like that, and believing in yourself. But I also know that like I'm good at what I do, and I'm not the best comic out there. I'm, I have off nights, etc., or whatever. But I also know I'm good at it, and my shooting percentage is much better than my miss percentage. You know what I'm saying? So like the nights that it doesn't go well, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm like, I'm gonna do this again tomorrow, and they're gonna have a good time. I go, it's probably you guys. Like, I don't actually like that. I don't actually tell them that, but I'm like, my special is called "Not Your Cup of Tea" for a reason. I'm not for
Yeah.
everyone. I understand that, and that's okay. But like, I can look at it objectively, and I can criticize and be like, oh, man, I was a little tired, or like I felt a little flat here, or there's times when I'm in the middle of my set and I'm not getting the laughs that I think I should be getting. And then I realize I'm like, oh, I'm not present in this. Like, I don't believe in what I'm saying. It's just coming out of me. I'm not like, I might as well be, a fucking Teddy Ruxpin, just talking, just when somebody shoves a tape in my back and my mouth is moving. Like, I'm not connected to these words I'm saying right now. And that is me. And then I've shifted in the middle and been like, smile, energy, believe it, pronounce it, propel these things, and then it's like starts hitting again. I'm like, okay, that was that was me. But again, I'm like, I also know if it doesn't go well, I'm like, I got tomorrow night it'll be great, and it's fine. It's there's it's not the end of the world, and we'll do it again. It'll be okay.
That's incredibly wise. I mean, being able to pivot in the moment, because every moment we got a choice, we
Right.
can, and then knowing, hey, I'm going to have more at bats. This is, it's okay. And, I think we're so programmed not to fail at something that it's like, oh gosh, this didn't land. I'm going to, it's the end. I shouldn't be doing that. What am I even thinking? Instead have that more relaxed, like you said, that resilience. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your homesteading.
Sure.
So I know, we chatted a bit before we started recording. You've got a half acre. That is a lovely, lovely thing. But you're in a neighborhood. So of course I asked HOA. Man, that would be hilarious. But
Yeah,
it would.
luckily, no, no way.
So what do like, are you, all right, I got 15 questions coming out at once. We're trying to do one at a time. But all right, why are you homesteading? And well, we'll start with that. Why are you homesteading?
I think the biggest thing was really just trying to get out of um, for lack of a better term, the system, the supermarket system, the mass market system. Our food is poison. That's probably a big one. And I mean, there's doctors out there now that are calling like what is it? Alzheimer's. People are now linking Alzheimer's, calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because they're linking it to diet so much. And I mean, not that I was like, I've been pretty healthy in my diet anyway. I ate fruits and vegetables, pretty balanced. I don't drink anymore. I'm not a soda drinker, never a big sugar person. So like, I was fairly healthy, but also, I mean, there's just so much crap in everything they make. I mean, even the fruits and vegetables now aren't real, half of them. So really the goal was to just kind of start small, start figuring out how to do it, produce our own food, fruits and vegetables, be able to feed us, be able to feed our dogs, a lot of those. And then we got, like I said, like 14 chickens back there right now. I don't know, it changes sometimes.
Yes.
Because we raise chicks and sell silky hens. So they come and go, but usually we have about 14 of our own flock. And we do that pretty much just for eggs. And it was really just trying to, be self-sufficient, get out of the consuming poison. I mean, people think it sounds like crazy, but I mean, the food's fucking poison. It's crazy. It's, I mean, if you really look into it, it's absolutely awful. And it's killing people at an alarming rate.
It
So
is, yeah. Agreed.
that, and then, any meat we buy from local farmers that are all, pasture raised, no antibiotics, none of that stuff. I mean, we're very much, if we can never have to go to the grocery store again, basically, that's kind of the goal. I mean, we still do it occasionally for stuff. I haven't figured out how to make peanut butter. But I mean, we'll go so far as like we buy whole milk from a farmer and we make our own yogurt. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So
that's so great, man. I get that completely. Is it raw milk? I love raw milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the best. Which you can't, like, for some reason it's illegal. That's ridiculous. It's supposed to be for pets.
It's illegal. It's illegal because it's good for you.
Exactly. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going to tell you. So I used to raise chickens. We haven't gotten chickens at the homestead yet. That's going to be the next thing. But before I had them, I think the most probably had was like close to 2 dozen. Totally fine. We got a husky we adopted. He feels like chicken tonight every night, so there was a little problem there, but we figured out a system. They shared the yard like it was prison. This one gets it, this one gets it. It was awesome. It worked. It was great. No more murders. So being here though, we've had to buy eggs. It's probably been a while since you bought eggs. They are disgusting. They're like yellow. I'm like, what is this? It's crazy. So, I mean, that's one of the simplest things that somebody can do is just if you're allowed, and some places you can't have even a hen, a lot of places, no roosters. That's reasonable because they're jerks anyway. But like,
they get along.
Do you? And they're not killing each other.
They'll get along. They're all in the same pen.
How old are they?
One is about 1. The other 2 are they're young. They're about 5 months old, but we raised them together, and they kind of got their pecking order figured out I mean, the oldest one was like, this is my coop. So
It's wild. Oh man. I mean, chickens are hilarious too. They're just like, do you ever just sit and like watch them do stupid stuff? They're hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
They're running and they're like, oh my gosh, they're funny.
Well, we only have silkies, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with silkies.
I've seen them. They're pretty.
Yeah. So if any listeners look up silky or Chinese chickens, they're called, or and they're they've got these. They don't look like a full size chicken. I mean, they're smaller, they're silkier looking. They have these weird afros, and they're so cute though. But
Yeah.
they're very docile. That's why people like them, because they're very docile, and they also they don't take up as much room because they're small. So you
Yeah.
can have, for every like two full-size chickens, you could probably do like three of these. So you can
Nice.
make up the room that way. But I wanted to say, you were talking about eggs. That's one of the things that really hit me years ago when I went to it's probably like 12 years ago, maybe more than that, even probably 15 years ago. Well, the first time I went to Costa Rica, and I stayed at this little, I mean, I was at a little village, little surf village on the Caribbean coast. And, I mean, you had to take like a 3-hour bus ride from San Jose out there, and it was just crazy. It was fun. I stayed out there for a couple of weeks. Beautiful place, beautiful people, virtually untouched at that then. It's a little different now, but we stayed at this little, you rent a little room, like this little cottage that had pots and pans and everything you need. So I would get up and I would go to the like outdoor market every morning and buy food. And I bought eggs. And I remember cracking those eggs into a pan and being like, holy shit.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
these are white and orange, not pale yellow and gray. Like these are like, this is a different thing, and like eating the fruit and being like, oh, this is real, and that really impacted the way I looked at food back home. And I think that was the first eye opener for me, and the slow burn of like getting out of that and be more conscious of what I eat and how.
It's so great. And it's not hard to raise chickens. It's,
Wow.
the best chicken advice I ever got was every day in the life of a chicken is a bonus. Because I was like, oh, what if they die? They're so fragile. And it was like, wait a second, that's actually good advice for humans too. Like every
Yeah,
day we
yeah,
get is a bonus, right?
that's true. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
That's wild. So I always think, like, I know for me, I get my best thinking when I'm done outdoors. Have you had times where you're doing homesteady stuff and like you get a great bit for anything, like some creative idea because you were outside, just kind of like manually doing things and it popped into your head?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is kind of a tangential answer, but I mean, yes to that. And even more so, I think that's so important, because I always say I never wrote more or felt more creative than this one stretch of like 6 months where I worked with my grandfather doing remodeling and landscaping on these properties that he was doing. And my job for about 3 months of that was, they backed up the largest pickup truck or dump truck you'll ever imagine and dumped a pile of rocks that was probably 30 feet in circumference and 20 feet tall. And my job was to shovel it into a wheelbarrow it to the other side of the property, which was probably close to an acre, and slowly start filling this ravine. And that's what I did for every day, 8 hours a day,
Ooh.
for probably 3 months. And I'm not kidding when I say like that. It was just shovel,
Oh yeah.
walk it across, dump, make sure it's even, go back. And like, I didn't talk to anyone during the day. No one else was doing it with me. It was just me. And it seems like torture, especially to kids these days who look at work as like what they consider work. And I'm like, no. Looking back, that was one of the best things for me, because it taught me a lot about work and how work ethic, but it also, there's so much that I wrote in my head, just that time of like being in my head with no other distractions, there was long before music. I mean, I would have had to have a tape Walkman
Yeah.
you know, and I didn't have that. But that's what was available if I wanted to listen to music then and have headphones, you know. Um, so like I was just overflowing with ideas that still to this day that I have and have used and repurposed into things that was just amazing. And that that type of thing I think is so important, of just getting some time alone and letting your brain process, and then letting it create. Because like even now when I'm doing comedy, if I'm on the road, if I have to, you know, a lot of times I'll drive or I'll fly to like a region, like I'll go to the East Coast and then I'm there for like a week. So I'm in a rental car and I'm driving, you know, 3 to 6 hours a day to the next location, right? And a lot of times I don't listen to anything the entire drive. I just silence like a psycho, and I let my mind swim. And the amount of things I come up with and process and jokes I come up with and ideas for stories is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So I'm that psycho too in the silent car.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's, I think it's important, and people don't do that enough because it's too easy to distract yourself with,
Oh yeah.
you know, just earbuds, podcasts, or, you know, something on your screen. I mean, I saw this video the other day that Netflix executives are actually intentionally um, making their original content, they're making it more simple and dumbing it down because they realize that people are watching it while they're on their phone. So they're making it so simple and spelled out and absolutely like straightforward. So people who are so dumb and checked out can still follow along while they're, you know, playing Candy Crush or whatever. Like that, because it's like this phrase of secondary screens where people are always on like two screens, and
Yeah.
it's people are that far detached from real life, you know.
Oh, it's so like they're missing it. Like
Yeah,
they're missing it completely.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've got friends. I mean, I used to say this too. I've got a couple of friends that years ago that, you know, I used to go take days off and I would just go like to the lake by myself, and I would, you know, swim and hike and have lunch by myself and then go see a movie. And they're like, oh, you do that all by yourself? I'm like, yeah, you don't. Like, oh, no, I don't, you know, they didn't want to spend time with themselves. I'm like, you should. Yeah, that's very important to spend time with yourself. I mean, I'm saying being like Ted Kaczynski, like don't start a manifesto, but like, you know, or do that, you know, maybe we need that. Maybe we're due for that. But you know, spend some time with yourself and get to know yourself and feel comfortable in silence, feel comfortable with nothing else around you, to, you know, not a binky physical or proverbial, like just be okay being, you know.
Oh, I love that. Oh man. All right. So we're building this retreat center. I would love for you to come out here sometime. Greenville, Tennessee. I
You
think it
like
would be a
Tennessee?
blast. I would love to have you here. I think that would be
Yeah,
so much fun. Like,
dude, I do love Tennessee.
awesome. Either with a crowd or not. Like either
Where's
way, you got a standing invite, man.
where is what part of Tennessee is Greenville in? What city is it?
Northeast, yeah, the northeast corner. So kind of near, about an hour and a half out of Knoxville, about an hour from Bristol. So,
Okay, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe we will. I do enjoy that area. So I've got
that'd
some
be so great.
people in Knoxville that have asked me to come do shows soon anyway. So
That'd be fun. That'd be so fun. All right, where can people find out more about you? Like find out where you're, you know, anything, like
yeah.
everything that they're gonna want.
So I'm going to talk about two different ways to look me up and two different ways to find me. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the comic book Kill Stan, and because that is my biggest project that I'm working on right now, I'm dedicating my time to. It is truly a labor of love that I invested a ton of time and money into. When this comes out, number 3 will probably, do you know any idea when this approximately will release?
Probably in 2 months.
2 months. Okay, we'll probably be looking at the Kickstarter for number 3 around that time. So number 1 and number 2 will be out. This is it's a story about a guy who wants to end his own life, so he decides to do it through vigilantism. And it's a very personal story. It's got but like I said, really, it's a character piece about loss, trauma, and the crazy things we do when we feel like we have nothing left to live for. And it's something I think everyone can relate to, because we've all felt empty, lonely, abandoned, like we have nowhere else to go. And it was my intent to just make people feel like, it's okay to not feel okay. That happens. It doesn't, and it's not always some grand, big event. Sometimes it's just the general malaise of day-to-day life. So I encourage everyone to check that out. The first 2 books are available. You can find us at inferno.earth. That is the website. You can get books there. Follow the Kickstarter for the next one we're launching, and it is inferno.earth. There's no .com. .earth is the domain. Or you can find us on inferno.earth on Instagram. Please follow, or inferno.earth on Facebook. That's us everywhere. So it's a very important story to me. I think it means a lot, and a lot of people who've never read comic books are reading it and very touched and very are becoming fans. So that's, you don't have to ever read a comic book or feel like it's not a superhero thing. It's for you also. Otherwise, you can find me at deececomedy.com is my website for comedy. Deece.comedy on Instagram, Deece Casillas on Facebook. Or you can follow the Social Hour. That's my production company. We produce comedy shows across the country. I am on tour somewhere probably right now. So you can find my dates on my Instagram or on my website. The first half of this year is a little thin as we're focusing on the comic book. Second half of the year, I'm on the road a lot more. You can get my special, Not Your Cup of Tea, is available on my website, Deece Comedy. We are doing a deal right now where you pay whatever you want. Just hit the Not Your Cup of Tea link. You put in a donation amount on the PayPal link, and we'll send you a digital download of the full 1 hour special. You can pay whatever you want. You can pay as little as $1. It's a dick move, but you'll still get it. And just check it out, watch it, like it, leave a comment, and anything else that I am missing. Oh, and also I host a podcast called The Social Hour. New episodes most Wednesdays at deececomedy.com or any of your major podcast platforms. It's not every Wednesday anymore just because I'm busy, but it is most Wednesdays, and we talk to all sorts of different people from every walk of life. Yeah, man, I think
that sounds awesome. That's fantastic, man. I thank you so much for being here. This has been really fun.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. And those silkies, man, you got to post pictures of them. They're so cute.
Yeah, they are great. They are adorable.
We had Cochins at one point. So it looks like a little lady with the little fuzzy slippers. They're so cute.
We had a couple Cochins, and they just weren't quite fitting in with the flock. So we we got the flock down to, we decided we wanted to get the flock down to only birds that we liked and were nice to us. And so we thought silkies have always been good, so we're just only doing silkies now.
That's a great way to go, man. Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you.